Genes are not your destiny. Rewrite your longevity story. Today, we're going to tackle one of the biggest myths in health, that your genes completely controls how long you live, how healthy you stay, and what diseases you will get. Many of us believe our family history is a prison we can't escape. My parents had heart disease, so I will too. Or everyone in my family was overweight, so I'm stuck with it. But the truth is, your genetic code is only a starting point, not the final story. I'm going to show you how much of your lifespan is really written in your DNA, why so many people feel helpless about it, and most importantly, exactly what you can do starting today to rewrite your future and live longer, stronger, and sharper. Let's pause here and talk honestly about what so many people secretly believe about their genes. From a young age, most of us are taught, directly or indirectly, that our DNA is like an unchangeable curse or blessing. It's that whispered family truth. Your grandfather had a heart attack at 52, you should watch out too. Cancer runs in our family, there's not much you can do. We have always been big boned in this family, it's just our genetics. These little sentences get repeated at family dinners, doctor's visits, and quiet conversations when someone gets sick. Over time, they sink in like concrete. So by the time you're an adult, you are carrying this heavy, invisible inheritance. The idea that you are just a passenger on a genetic train you can't steer. But what does that belief do? For some people, it's a permission to slip, to give up. They think, why bother eating kale or going for a walk? My DNA already wrote the endings. So they basically lean into habits that feel good now because they think the long term is out of their hands anyway. For others, it's not an excuse. It's a quiet, creeping fear. They see their parent or grandparent suffer a stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetic complications, and they feel like they're just waiting for the same thing to happen. Every ache, every brain fog moment, every skipped heartbeat becomes proof that the genes are coming for them too. When you feel you can't change your outcome, your brain naturally asks, why even try? This belief that genetics is your jailer becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You do less, you eat worse, you stress more, you avoid the hard changes because they won't matter anyways. Ironically, this mindset activates the very diseases people fear the most. Now here's the twist that most people don't know. Genes aren't dictators. They aren't instructions. They are instructions that can be edited, silenced, or amplified. Your daily habits are the pencil that scribes new notes in the margin. Your stress, your sleep, your food, your movement, they all speak directly to your DNA, telling it what to do next. But people don't know this. They don't see it on the news or hear it in 5-minute doctor visit. So they stay stuck in fear, or they throw up their hands and say, it's in my blood, I can't fight it. Here's the good news. It's why we're here right now. You can fight it. In fact, You can do better than fight. You can rewrite the script entirely. The science is clear. Your genes are powerful, but they're not the final word. So let's move beyond the myth and look at what the research says about how much control you actually have. Gene matters, but not as much as you think it does. Let's break down the real science about what your genes actually controls and what they don't. For decades, scientists have mapped our human genome, hoping to find the magic keys to health and aging. They thought if we crack the DNA code, we will find out exactly who lives long and who doesn't. What they found was fascinating, and honestly, it's one of the most empowering discoveries of our time. First, the exceptional cases. Some families are just genetic outliers. Dr. Ali Turkamani, a top geneticist, found that people who live to be 100 or older, the centenarians, often share unusual genetic traits that protect them in extreme ways. Take one of Dr. Nir Barzilai's discoveries. He studied hundreds of centenarians and their kids. Many had unique genetic variants that gave them naturally high levels of protective cholesterol, HDL, the good cholesterol. Imagine a built-in biological shield that keeps your arteries clean for 90 plus years. That's what these people won in the genetic lottery. Some families even have genes that make them less likely to develop type 2 diabetes or that protect their DNA from certain cancers. These are true outliers, nature's extreme cases. But here's what everyone misses. These cases are rare. What researchers zoomed out and studied millions of regular people, the picture completely changed. One of the biggest wake-up calls came from the Calico Group and Ancestry.com. Dr. Eric Verdin and his team asked a simple but powerful question. How much of your lifespan is actually written in your DNA? They didn't just look at few families. They looked at millions of family trees and DNA records. They crunched huge data sets to find out why some people live longer, and what they found shocked even them. Only about 7% of how long you live can be directly linked to your genes. The other 93% comes down to your daily choices and environment. In other words, your DNA might load the gun, but your daily habits decide whether or not you pull the trigger. Now think about it. Your plate affects you more than your family tree. Your walking shoes have more influence than your chromosomes. Your sleep routine shapes your aging more than your birth certificate. This isn't just one study. It's supported by research worldwide. The blue zones, those rare places where people consistently live past 90 or 100, don't have magic DNA. They have magic lifestyle, natural movement, strong community, good food, low stress. 2 studies show that even identical twins who share 100% of the same DNA can age very differently based on what they eat, how they live, and how they handle stress. Epigenetic studies prove that lifestyle can turn on or turn off genes related to cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and even how fast your cells age. The takeaway is simple but powerful. Your genes may push you slightly toward risks or protections, but they are only potential. What you do every day determines whether that potential becomes your reality. So when someone says, I am doomed, my dad died young, I want you to remember that genetics gave you a starting point. Your choices finish the story. If you have a family history of heart disease, you can lower your risk by up to 80% through diet, movement, and stress control. If you have genes linked to Alzheimer's, brain protective habits like good sleep, social connection, and clean eating can delay or prevent it. If obesity runs in your family, your daily food environment, sleep, and stress management have a bigger impact than your DNA. Blaming your genes takes away your power. Understanding your genes give you power because now you know exactly where to fight back. So yes, genes matter, but not nearly as much as what you do today. Your DNA is the draft. Your lifestyle is the editor. You are the author. So now here's the best news you will hear today. Your daily choices can override the risks written in your genes. This is where modern science gets truly hopeful and incredibly motivating. Most people think their DNA is carved in stone, but it's more like a light switch. It can be flipped on or off by your habits, your food, your environment, and even your thoughts. This is what scientists call epigenetics. Epi means above genetics. It is the science of how lifestyle control gene expression. Here is how it works in the real world. Example number 1, type 2 diabetes. You may inherit genes that make you more likely to store belly fat, resist insulin, or crave sugar. But study after study shows by eating mostly whole, unprocessed food, staying active every day, getting enough sleep, and managing stress, you can slash your diabetes risk by up to 80%, even if both your parents had it. Your genes might whisper, stop, store more fat, crave more sugar, but your habits shout back, not today. Heart disease? Well, heart disease is one of the biggest family history fears people carry. If your father or grandfather had heart attack at 50, you may feel you are next in line. But decades of research proves eating more plants and healthy fats, moving your body regularly, quitting smoking, sleep well, reducing chronic stress, these choices can silence genes that cause inflammation and clogged arteries. Dr. Dean Ornish even showed that a healthy lifestyle can reverse existing heart disease, opening arteries without surgery by turning off damaging genes and turning on healing ones. Number 3 is Alzheimer's and dementia. This is one of the scariest genetic fears. What if I lose my mind like my mom or dad? Yes, genes like ApoE4 can raise your risk, but they do not guarantee your fate. Groundbreaking studies show that daily exercise, eating a brain-healthy diet like the Mediterranean or MIND diet, staying socially connected, sleeping deeply, keeping your brain active with learning and purpose can delay or even prevent the onset of dementia even if you have genes. Your neurons respond to your lifestyle choices like a switchboard. Good habits keep connections alive and healthy. Bad habits snips the wires faster. So how does this all really work? Your genes are like a big library full of books. Epigenetics is the librarian, deciding which books to read aloud and which to keep locked away on the shelf. Your daily choices tell the librarian what stories to tell. Even your stress response changes your genes. Chronic stress can turn on genes that promote inflammation, weaken your immune system, and accelerate aging. But daily stress management, mindfulness, deep breathing, meaningful social connection can turn those same genes off. Your DNA may set the stage, but your habits direct the show. You are not just your family's genetic history. You are an active participant in how your genes play out. It's not magic, it's biology working in your favor if you give it the right instruction. So every meal you choose, every walk you take, every stress break you commit to, these are not small, meaningless acts. They are direct messages to your DNA. Turn off diseases, turn up repair, slow down aging. The science is clear. You can rewrite your future, your health future, even if you inherited some risky pages. So instead of feeling captive to your family history, you can feel in charge of your next chapter. So why we feel powerless? Let's pause here and ask an honest question. Why do so many people feel trapped by their genes? Why does a piece of genetic information, a test result, a family story make us feel like our health future is locked in? The first reason is simple but powerful. Genes feel invisible and unchangeable. You can see your dinner plate, your running shoes, your bedroom. You can touch them, upgrade them, choose them, but your genes, they are hidden. You can't see your DNA swirling inside your cells, so your brain treats it like fate. Out of sight, out of reach, out of your control. The second reason, headlines and clickbait signs. For decades, big news stories grabbed our attention with dramatic lines. The obesity gene, breast cancer gene found. Is Alzheimer's in your DNA? These headlines simply simplify complex science into scary yes or no labels. But the truth is, these so-called bad genes are rarely a one-way street. They just tip the odds slightly, and your daily habits do the rest. But you don't hear that in the headlines, so you hear doom instead of hope. And the third reason is deeply personal. Family history shapes your identity. We grow up hearing family stories. Your grandfather was gone by 55, bad heart. Diabetes runs strong on your mother's side. Your aunt had breast cancer, better watch out. These stories embedded themselves in our self-image. We don't question them. We absorb them as part of who we are. So when we look in the mirror, we see our family's past, not our own future. And the fourth reason cuts even deeper. Blaming your genes can feel strangely comforting. Wait, comforting? How? Well, because if your DNA is the villain, then you are not responsible. If you think you're doomed anyway, you don't have to do the hard work of change. No need to overhaul your diet, get up for that walk, handle your stress, or quit smoking. Why bother? The genes win anyway, right? This isn't laziness, it's human nature. When people feel powerless, they protect themselves from disappointment by not trying at all. But here's the reality that flips this story on its head. Bad genes are not destiny, they are potential. A risk factor is just that. Risk, not a guarantee. And risk can be lowered, controlled, and sometimes erased altogether. If you knew there was a 50% chance of rain, would you stand outside or get soaked? Or would you grab an umbrella, wear a raincoat, check the forecast, and stay dry? Your genes are the forecast. Your lifestyle is the umbrella. And the science proves it. Heart disease genes, they can be silenced with daily habit. Cancer risks, many cancers are strongly driven by lifestyle triggers like smoking, poor diet, toxins, stress. Dementia genes, healthy lifestyle can keep those switches turned off for decades. So when someone says, it runs in my family, the real answer should be, good to know. Now I know where to aim my best habits. Your mindset matters here too. If you believe you are powerless, you won't act. If you know you have power, you are more likely to use it. This is why understanding your genetics isn't scary, it's liberating, because it gives you a map of where to work smarter and harder. So here's the truth. Your genes do not sentence you to disease. Your daily choices are the judge and jury. You are not your family history. You are not your parents' outcome. You are not your DNA alone. You are your daily habits multiplied over years. So let's get practical and a little bit of mind blown about this word epigenetic. For most people, genetics sounds like fate, but epigenetics is the scientific proof that your daily life can rewrite how your genes behave. Think of your DNA like a giant script. It holds the instructions for every protein, every cell processes, every tiny repair your body does. But here's the twist. Just because it's written doesn't mean it's read out loud. Epigenetics is like the editor with red pen. Your editor decides which page to highlight, which paragraphs to cross out, which chapter to skip, which to read over and over again. Your daily choices are that editor's pen. So how does this work in your body? Inside each of your cells are little chemical tags. They attach to your DNA or the proteins that package it. These tags tell your cell whether to read certain genes or leave them alone. Think of it like a light switch, gene on, gene off. Eat a balanced, colorful diet, switch on repair genes, switch off inflammation genes. Chronic stress and poor sleep, switch on. Inflammation, switch off cellular cleanup. Exercise regularly, switch on genes that boost metabolism and longevity. Stay sedentary, then switch on disease-promoting pathway. This isn't wishful thinking, it's real science we can see and measure. For example, when people shift from a processed food diet to a whole food, plant-rich diet, researchers see changes in DNA methylation, one type of epigenetic tag that silences bad genes. Meditation and stress reduction practices have been shown to reduce expression of genes linked to chronic inflammation. Physical activity boosts the activity of genes that help you burn fat, repair cells, and fight diseases. Here's one amazing study. When men with prostate cancer switched to a whole food, plant-based diet, started light exercise, and reduced stress through meditation, their cancer-promoting genes literally turned down and cancer-fighting genes turned up in just 3 months. That's not decades, that's weeks of choices rewriting their genetic story. So yes, Your DNA is the blueprint, but your daily life decides which part of it get built. Another way to see this is your genes are like a giant piano. The lifestyle is the pianist, and you can play gently, healing music, or you can pound on the key and make noises that wears the piano down. Same piano, same keys, but different music. That is why bad genes don't have to do bad things. You have inherited a gene that could raise your risk for heart disease, but if you keep the switch off with smart choices, that gene stays quiet like a book gathering dust on a shelf. On the flip side, a healthy gene can get silenced if your environment works against it. Like if you constantly feed your body poor fuel, don't sleep, or flood it with stress. This is where your power is hidden. Every bite, every step, every stress reset is a signal, a tiny message that tells your DNA what to do next. Your daily choices literally speak to your genes. So next time you hear, "It runs in my family," remember, yes, the script exists, but you hold the editor's pen. You decide what gets published. All right, so now you know your genes may set the stage, but your daily choices direct the show. So let's get practical. Here's exactly how to rewrite your longevity story and make your DNA work for you, not against you. These are 7 science-backed steps you can start today. No fancy gadget, no fad diets, no overwhelm. Eat real food. This is your foundation. Food is the biggest daily message you send to your DNA. Ultra-processed foods, sugar, snacks, refined oils, additives flip on genes for inflammation, obesity, and metabolic diseases. Move daily. You don't need to run marathon. Just move your body every day. Brisk walking for 30 minutes can slash heart disease risk. Number 3, prioritize sleep. Sleep isn't nice to have. It's a biological reset button. When you sleep deeply, your body repairs DNA damage, clears cellular waste, and silences genes that promote disease. Number 4, manage stress. Chronic stress is like pouring gasoline on your worst genetic risk. Stress hormones can flip on genes for inflammation, weakens your immune system, and speed up aging. Number 5, connect with others. This surprises many people. Loneliness changes your genes. Study shows that social isolation switches on genes that promote inflammation and weakens immune system. Ditch toxins. Your DNA is constantly interacting with your environment. Toxins flip the wrong switches. Test smart. Use your family history wisely. Knowledge is power if you use it. If you know certain diseases run in your family, don't ignore it. Leverage it. Work with a doctor or health coach who understands functional medicine and personalized prevention. Here's what all these steps have in common. They flip the switches you want flipped. Off for inflammation, on for repair, off for disease, on for longevity. Remember, genes load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. When you master your daily choices, you stop pulling the trigger. So if you take one thing from today, You are not your genes. You are your daily actions. Start small. One better meal, one walk, one good night's sleep. Those tiny steps compound into epigenetic power. You're not doomed by your DNA. You are designed to adapt, heal, and thrive. So pick up the pen and write the story you want your body to tell.